Ooh, alright, so I'm called Professor Haystacks. This is Tyler C.
Hey.
Kenny G. He uses that on his discography sometimes. I don't know if you know, I made a Pony Sona reference to, I guess, though it might work better as a different race, that I called Book Cook for your last name. And also books, because I needed a history buff in there.
Yeah.
As to cite, quote unquote, and also, of course, to cook the books, because that seemed like the kind of pun you'd make.
That sounds like, so. Wait, so you made me a character?
I didn't draw it. It's just a name drop in one fanfic, in like one line of one fanfic.
Wow.
As citing as a source.
I don't want to be any part of that world, Sam.
Well, there's no reference to it.
No.
It's all just a name drop, but that's how I came up with it. I needed a history thing.
Yeah, sure.
All right, and so show your hat there.
Yeah. Yes, this is it's my hat. This is just
to
tick off all of you social justice warriors out there.
The views expressed by this guest do not necessarily reflect the opinion of this channel or of YouTube.
Get a job, you hippies. Get a job. All right, so we're discussing this episode.
Yeah, Pinky Pride, also known as the Cheese Sandwich or Weird Al Yankovic episode. In retrospect, we probably should have done this as a live commentary, but I didn't think of that until we were already halfway through when he mentioned it. We might try that for a different episode.
Yeah, sure.
This is season 4, episode something. I don't know. I'll put it in the title.
Fix it in post, right?
Yeah, I put in post like little clips down at the bottom or whatever.
Little asterisks, like to fix all of our mistakes. And,
but I can also put like clips of shows, like just put clips of what do you call those? Can dancers, just going by the mouth.
Right.
It's not a green screen, so it's actually just overlaid. You like can't see what's behind it. But
yeah, sure. You should do that with the whole video.
Just have can dancers on the whole time.
Just all over the place, like an old '90s website. Like you load it up, and there's like 12 different animated GIFs, and like the cursor changes, and you can't actually navigate anything. There's so many. There's like snowflakes coming down and flashing lights.
Right, and your cursor's also a snowflake, so you can't tell where it is. That is so true.
You'll probably get tons of subs that way. It's all about the subs, right? YouTube, right?
Actually, these days it's apparently based on the returning views per day.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Which, I mean, it's been ticking off a lot of the channels, like PewDiePie. You heard of him?
Yeah,
he was on South Park.
Yeah,
if you recall.
Yeah. Do we need to do like product placement? Like,
not really.
Have you gotten to that level yet? Like,
I have like 5 subscribers. My most views was like 120, and that was because someone apparently vaguely associated with Autism Speaks posted that on a video because I mentioned that a certain character might be autistic.
Oh, wow.
That's Maud Pie, actually.
Speaking of autism, if you enjoy today's show, we encourage you to go check out our friends over at audible.com. Audible.com. Read all your favorite books by listening to them. And put in promo code HAYSTACKS to get 50% off your first month.
Not an actual promo code.
It might work.
He's mocking, what is that? What's that podcast?
Pretty much every podcast.
Well, nearly every podcast.
Yeah.
Audible sponsors like everything.
Yeah, so it probably would work. There probably is another Professor Haystacks out there.
I don't know why that would be a promo code. Audible's not that big.
There's probably some farm podcast, right?
Maybe.
And that's the promo code Haystacks.
Potentially. If it works, let us know. I doubt it will.
Leave a comment below if it works. If
and of course, you recognize Tyler from the hit web series The Tyler and David Show, which aired from, what was it, 2005 to 2006?
No, it was before. It was, that was what?
No, I graduated high school in 2004, so you were in college in 2004 the first year.
Yeah, it was 2003, 2004 was old Swain Slide. That was pre-YouTube. That gives you an idea how old I am.
I think YouTube technically existed, but like no one used it yet.
Yeah. Speaking of, like, I mean, I'm almost 30. I'll be 32 like next week, and until today, I've managed to avoid watching a single episode of My Little Pony.
Oh, really? I thought you had seen one with I don't know, Clementine or something.
No, I don't think I have. I've seen little bits of them here and there.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, this is the
she would probably like it though. She's like, what is she, 1.5?
It's a show for little kids, but yet probably everyone watching this is like a 40-year-old man in his basement.
Actually, there's a good number of teenage boys too.
Yeah, well, there are. Yeah, I've had some students who are really into it. So I'm trying to
girls,
tick off your core fan base.
Yeah. Some girls, you go to conventions, it winds up being, I don't know, like 75%.
Now, why is that? I know we're supposed to like discuss the episode, but like, what about this show caught on with teenage boys and middle-aged men? And you?
Not so say some middle-aged men. A lot are actually in the 25 to 35 demographic.
Okay.
That sweet spot demo for like late night television, but it doesn't air late night. That's a good question. I think it's like the Power Rangers effect. And I heard analysis about Power Rangers and actually Super Sentai, which is in Japan, where it's more popular with older people.
See, I have my hand on my. That's a show. That's to indicate interest.
Looks very deep.
Continue.
That it's a good escape to have a simple world where problems are solved in half an hour. But I mean, the animation quality is better than a lot of cartoons. You've seen some of those Cartoon Network, like what would you call them? Assembly line cartoons.
Yeah, sure. All right, so anyway, we were talking about phenomena.
Pinky Pride.
Yeah,
we'll use phenomena. Well, well, you know, the way I describe it to someone is it's like the purest expression of the platonic ideal of a children's cartoon.
Okay, all right.
You know, like the platonic ideal is the idea. There's this idea that exists in, you know, like the ether or whatever, and any expressions of like a chair are reflections of that, imperfect reflections of that ideal.
Yeah.
So the chairiest chair possible would be the platonic ideal.
I tell my students, like, all trees aspire to be the platonic ideal
of a tree, right?
Yeah,
so it's like cartoons aspire to be the platonic ideal of a cartoon. So it's like, as children's cartoons go, it's like the platonic ideal of a children's cartoon, or as close as you could get, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the first couple seasons, it had all the things with licensed stuff. It's you know, changed over the season. Some people say for the worst. I like most of them, but then I liked episode 1 for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Not so much episode 2.
So if that is indeed the case, like I can see that, because I'll admit to all of you right here, this is the first episode I've ever seen, and I actually enjoyed it. Like it was interesting.
In fairness, this is one of the best ones, and it's the one I always show people who haven't seen before because, I mean, Weird Al.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it was something I'd love to watch, like, with my niece, who's, like, 16 months old. Like, she would love it, you know, all the music and everything, and the bright colors. And I can totally buy, like, I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there who are I like that argument, the platonic ideal of cartoons.
Yeah, well, part of the way that it does, the way it approaches that, and that was just my quick and dirty explanation.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's hard to put into words.
Yeah. It's
that the characterizations are believable. It's like, even though they're fantastic beasts and where to find them, even though they're fantasy creatures
in theaters now.
Yes, maybe not by the time I post this, but it was in theaters while we were making this. That even though they're fantastic creatures, their personalities seem like real humans and not like caricatures of humans.
So there's relatable characterization.
Yeah. The biggest problem with that is there's some episodes where they aren't. There's episodes where any character progression and lessons are just undone for the sake of a joke. 28 Pranks Later was the biggest ideal because they had previously taught Rainbow Dash not to indiscriminately prank people who don't like it.
Yeah.
And they taught her it again. Now, it wasn't the focus of that first episode, and I think part of the theory was that, you know, no one has a memory more than 2 years old. So that's an adage that applies to wrestling.
That's what interests me too. I think there's 2 reasons why dudes are like into this show. All right. And one good and one bad. All right. So the bad one is, I think there's like just perverts that like want to have sex with the ponies.
Well, I mean, there's furries, and you see some anthropomorphic versions. Very few people actually want to have sex with the pony forms.
But
some people make anthropomorphic versions.
They have like they like because of the rich characterization, they fall in love with the. All right. So I think that's sort of like the dark side of this brony thing. But I think I can sort of see that. And like, full disclaimer, I'm not a brony. I'm not gonna like become one. But the other side, I can see like especially your videos, you're getting all this minutia about like the geography and the geology and all this sort of stuff, the science.
They very well researched the geology.
Yeah. So I get the like that's the side where like as a dude I could see like guys getting into it because guys like love like minutia. I'm talking about in generalities here, but like love getting into like the nitty gritty and the minutia. I could see like this is gonna be controversial. I could see like autistic guys getting really into this, or just because of all the crazy details.
There have been said to be a number of people with Asperger's, or well, Asperger's isn't a classification anymore, of course.
Okay, sure.
There have been notes that say there's a higher population than the general among bronies of that, but
okay, I was right, internet. I was right.
There's also a higher population than usual of LGBT, whatever fifth or sixth thing they're adding. I can't count, but
okay, that doesn't surprise me either.
Well, but it's not actually a majority. It's higher. I mean, the general population, it's usually cited as 10%. It's actually like 8%. But
well, one of the main characters is Rainbow Dash, right?
She is explicitly not gay, actually.
Well, right, yeah. I guess.
Oh no, she isn't. The only one that's explicitly has any explicit sexuality in the main series is Rarity, who has been chasing after men in a couple of different episodes. The others never really express it. Rainbow Dash, I don't think has shown any romantic interest in anyone. Twilight did in the Equestria Girls movie, but they kind of ignore that in the main series.
Let me ask you this really quick, and then we'll get into the show.
Lauren Faust explicitly said that Rainbow Dash is not intended to be a gay stereotype,
right?
Because she said she wanted to show girls that you can be like tough and athletic and still be like feminine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I appreciate that. All right, so here's one more question before we get into the the actual show. All right, so I'm wearing my Trump hat here for the God Emperor, and
God Emperor of June.
That's right. So I know like Trump has been like a big internet phenomenon.
Hear that, Trump? The spice must flow.
That's right. He's ridden the moonworm.
That moonworm is Futurama, but close enough.
Hey, whatever. I'm excited for January 20th. Let me say that. So, so like Trump, there was a big internet sort of community around him, and like there's the sort of I'm not a Reddit person at all, but I know there's the big like Trump subreddit or whatever they call it.
Subreddit.
Yeah, the internet's gonna excoriate me if I get any of this wrong. But I also realize there's a big brony online community, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess my question is there an overlap? Were there like huge Trump bronies?
Not that I've seen. There are a few, but it's mostly Bernie Sanders supporters.
Interesting. Okay.
There's plenty that don't like Hillary. The largest number, just honestly, a lot of it's just the age range.
Okay.
Were Sanders supporters, and I think a number of them just skipped the election or wrote in Sanders after the primaries were decided.
I figure most people who self-identify as bronies, you excluded from this, don't actually work, so it would be natural that they would be Bernie Sanders supporters.
That's not actually true.
Make America great again, baby. Sorry.
There's a number of low-wage jobs in that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of bronies that have lower-paying jobs. I shouldn't say low-wage. I said lower-paying, but I don't know that that's representative. Those just seem to be the people who are more active.
You just got to let my sweeping, unsubstantiated statement sit out there, Zan. And let the internet fill in the rest.
Okay. Well, anyway.
All right.
No, what? Oh, sorry. There was
one other thing.
No, you were going back. What was the thing you were saying on second reason?
Oh, the second reason.
Basically
the world and the characters are so richly detailed and everything that I could see why men would be interested, because they could really, especially they could really get into it and figure out like the mythology and all
you did say that. Well, and some of the times they weren't that careful with the mythology. There's one instance where between episodes, they instead of the man in the moon, they had the mare in the moon. Between episodes that featured that image, the image flipped.
Okay.
Which is impossible to do via any rotation of the moon.
Well, right.
And in fact, the craters for the correct orientation were still there.
Okay.
The animators just drew extra ones to make it face the wrong way. I'm like,
weird.
probably a different set of animators.
See, this almost like proves my point right here, because like I would say it's just a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and it's called the Doyleist explanation. See, for resolving inconsistencies in Sherlock Holmes works, there's called the Watsonian and the Doyleist explanations.
Okay.
The Watsonian explanation is that Watson, who's the in-universe author, either made a mistake or misinterpreted something.
Okay. All right.
The Doyleist is that Arthur Conan Doyle made a mistake.
Right.
And so in this, the Doyleist explanation would be that the animators just messed up. A Watsonian explanation would be that the moon actually had a pattern on both sides, so you're seeing it on different sides.
Okay.
That would require their moon not to be tidally locked, but anyway.
Okay, all right, yeah. See, and like there you go. Like, so when they started off the show, did they know that people were going to be watching it so closely?
No.
Or, okay, so
they do now,
right?
But for the first 3 seasons, like not really. It really started to take off with the larger community in like season 2.
Okay. So basically, they started off and it was just like supposed to be like a kid's cartoon. Then all of a sudden, like young men started watching it, and like young nerdy men started watching it.
Yeah, and some young women too.
Oh, and women, I know.
Now, a lot of it started because 25, 30-year-old women who had seen the old cartoon and remembered it started watching.
Okay, right, makes sense.
And dragged their boyfriends into it or whatever.
And then all of a sudden, their boyfriends were the ones who were like getting hooked on the show.
Pretty much. Wow. That's an oversimplification. It took off surprisingly on /B. Or 4chan.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Now that's an oversimplification. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, but there was a 4chan brony forum for a while because people kept talking about it so much, and then there was a thing where people started like insulting the bronies, like the stereotypes of people living in a basement or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't have a basement. I live in the garage. Anyway, this house actually doesn't have a basement, but I don't live here anymore. The response was like, I'm going to love and tolerate the beep out of you, and the S word there and there.
Yeah, right.
But try to keep this, PG-13.
Sure. So women started watching it at a nostalgia factor. Boyfriend started watching it. It took off on 4chan and became like an internet.
Yeah,
thing.
when in colleges, that. For a while, it was a sort of hipster thing to watch it, like ironically or whatever.
Sort of like Adventure Time. Like all of a sudden, Adventure Time took off like college chicks.
Men too, but
yeah, sure.
Marshall Lee in there is he's the male alternate universe counterpart to Marcelin. He's apparently very popular among the female fan base.
Yeah, sure.
But he's a vampire, so
okay.
What was I gonna say? I've lost my train of thought.
I don't know. We
right.
Far-ranging video.
On 4chan, but so that was like a sort of heartwarming tale. I think that's also where Derpy comes. Someone posted about the premiere, like before it first aired. I think there was a segment of 4chan that was like planning to watch ironically or whatever.
Right.
Or was it Reddit? Whatever. Anyway, there's a segment of the internet somewhere that was like going to watch it ironically.
Okay.
In the premiere, there's a pony in the background with like crossed eyes. It was an animation error.
Yeah, sure.
But someone said it with derped eyes, and the response was, "Thus the legend of Derpy Hooves is born." So that's what people started calling
So
her.
basically, that animation error ended up becoming this internet meme,
and it became canon. Yeah.
And then a bunch of people started
starting
watching.
in season 2, they started deliberately inserting her in there, and there was a season 2 episode where she had a speaking role, and that's where she was called Derpy at first. And one person complained, and the writer was like, I've got the mentally handicapped child. I don't want to insult them. They actually edited the version on iTunes.
Oh, jeez.
So fans actually saved their old iTunes version separately, and the DVD version is the edited version.
Yeah.
They just edited out her saying the name and changed because the voice also sounded kind of Uncle Grandpa-ish.
Yeah.
Because they had a female voice actor who thought the character was male. It is not. It's drawn as female. The males have flatter snouts.
Okay.
But that's how you tell the difference. But
okay.
Yeah, so apparently that was why the voice was weird on first go. There's much debate after that. They had her with the second voice when she spoke again in season 5 for the 100th episode. And she actually spoke briefly in one of the Equestria Girls movies, I think.
All right. One more question. Are they ever going to have like Pepe the Frog show up in one of these episodes?
I've seen fans draw stuff like that, but probably not.